Welcome to our Healy Coil webinar on Friday, the 23rd of 2021. So welcome to all our markets in our Asia Pacific region. I'm Frank Leile, the Chief Sales Officer at Healy World, and today we have a special edition for you of our Healy Coil webinar. And I'm very excited that our founder and visionary Markus Schmieke is with us, and I can promise you that you will get a glimpse today behind the scenes into our all the studies we have conducted in the last couple of weeks and months. And not even only about the Healy Coil video, but we will also talk a little bit more about our Healy Coherence program. So before we start, as we always do, we will go through our disclaimers quickly. Please read through that while I will talk a little bit further about today's program. As you know, our Healy Coil is going to launch in June, and we're very excited about this brand new product and also a slightly different technology we're using here on the Healy Coil versus our microcurrent, our application we usually use with our Healy device. And Markus is here, and the whole webinar is really dedicated and to give time to Markus to explain you a little bit more about the science behind our product, especially when we talk about the studies we have conducted here. So, as always, the Frequency Friday and, of course, the Healy Coil webinar is an informational webinar, so please do not record it from your screen and do not post it online. So, that brings me really to the start of the webinar. As you saw, our Healy Coil video as an introduction here. We will share this with you in the future, and we will also, of course, share more materials with you towards the launch. And also, we are producing right now another promotional video you can use to promote the product itself to all your members and, of course, to your valued customers as well. So that brings me to the man of the hour. So please welcome with us on our Healy Coil Friday today. The last time it was a Tuesday, our founder and our visionary, Markus Schmieke. Hi, Markus.
Hi, Frank. Good morning.
Good to see you. Hi, Markus. So yeah, as I said, we have amazing content today from especially from you, and I have to say, when I saw your slides and when we talked about this the first time, I was really excited. It confirmed what I already knew, but to see it on black and white and you will share some numbers and some insight about this was just, for me, it just blowing my mind, how strong the results are. And I just want to hand over the time to you to share with our Asia Pacific market your findings.
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, it's also for me, it's a very nice opportunity, because normally my work is more in the background, and especially I have used really the last year, especially, where life changed so much. Before, I was mainly traveling all over the world. I came a few times to Asia and to Japan, to Bangkok, to so many countries, India, and so on. And since 1 year, I'm not traveling. So basically, I can focus really on my scientific work and on the research. And that's really a blessing, because this is normally the things I don't find too much time for. And it is so important, because we have our technology, the Healy technology, is kind of new for many people. And also in the scientific community, there is not so much research going on the effect of frequencies on the human being as a whole. There's a lot of studies you can look at, but it's very specific frequencies which are studied, and you know that Healy has a very much different approach. We're not using fixed frequencies, means frequencies which are always the same whenever you make an application, like for a certain purpose, you use certain frequencies. We are not doing this, but we have a set of frequencies for different purposes, which are very well selected, which have lots of experience background, but then which frequency at a certain moment is applied is selected through a quantum process, through a physical noise generator from what how I call it the information field. So that's really the core. It's the heart of the Healy technology. Of course, we have lots of experience over years and years, more than 10 years ourselves in the with the frequencies we are using. But the most important thing is really the resonance. The resonance of a certain frequency at a certain time with a certain person with a certain purpose. So all this needs to be connected, and I believe the best way to do it is through quantum entanglement to touch the information field in which, according to my understanding, not only to my understanding, but to there are lots of researchers who have this idea that there is an information field which is related to the quantum vacuum, which contains, let's call it the background information, or let's call it the implicit order. We all know the explicit order. The explicit order is what we are looking at if we look through our eyes. For example, now I'm looking into the screen and I see you all over the world, especially all over Asia. Unfortunately, I can't see you with my external eye, but in my inner eye, I can imagine. But there's a world outside, and it's manifest. I'm looking at the beautiful lake here through the window. The weather is quite okay. The sun is shining, but it's chilly, so it's not really for bathing. Just last week, I thought, okay, let's try it. And in the morning, very enthusiastically, before taking shower, I went down just 50 meters, 30 meters to the lake, and I went inside, and you can't imagine the shock which I had. First time I touched lake water in this year, and it's so ice cold. It was just a pain shock, and I had to escape as quickly as possible. But the lake looks beautiful. This is the external order which I see. Or David Bohm, a great physicist who Einstein considered his spiritual son. He, in his theory, calls it the explicit order. The explicit order consists of matter, which is organized in space and, of course, in time. But behind this explicit order, according to David Bohm, but also according to many other scientists, like Rupert Sheldrake, for example, there is an implicit order. There is a background, which is not of the nature of matter, which is ordered in space and time, but it's more of the nature of information, which connects the spiritual to the material, which connects the consciousness to the body. So this information field, as I call it, or the implicit order, is the background. It's a background of consciousness. And in this background field, you can call it the quantum vacuum. It's the area of quantum entanglement, of non-local correlations, of acausal causality, which is a little like a paradox. Um, in this field, you see how everything is interconnected. Even things which seem to be completely not correlated, like happening independent of each other, maybe on different planets, they are somehow connected by a deeper meaning. We all experience this in our life every single day, that things are not just happening by chance, and they are connected to events which have been in the past. But here's the secret. What happens now is not only connected by causality to events which happened in the past, but what happens right now in this moment is even connected by a reverse causality to events which will be happening in the future. And there's even some physics behind it. And the physics behind it is that if there are very fundamental events on the level of the quantum vacuum, they are, from these events, two types of waves are propagating. One wave is propagating to the future. And that's the wave which is responsible for normal causality. What happens now influences what happens in 10 minutes. If I would start to scream at you and continually, probably I will see the number of the participants dropping down, dropping down, dropping down. So I won't do it. I like to keep it up. So what is happening now, what I'm doing now, what I'm deciding now decides for the future, because there is a wave from this event happening, propagating to the future. But imagine, according to physics, the same wave, if you replace the time t by minus t, the same wave is propagating to the past. Imagine, physics is symmetrical. And the symmetry of time is a very fundamental quality. So everything which works in one direction of time works also in the other direction of time. So what's happening now is influencing the past. So let's go in this very moment, in this very moment, what I am in this world, and what you are, and what you are in this world, what you are experiencing is a result of your past activities and events which happened in the past. But also in this moment, you're receiving so many waves from future events, from your own future decisions, from things which happen to humanity in large. So what's happening right now to us is a overlapping, it's an interference of waves coming in from the past and the future and overlapping and forming a complex interference pattern, which is our common experience of reality right now. Isn't this amazing? Isn't this an amazing picture, which leaves us beyond this simple understanding of time passing from the past to the present to the future, but understanding how there are big lines. There are big lines in our life. There's one big life which touches the moment when we are born, and it's going as one half of a wavelength until the point when we die. So this is the line of our life. It's a wave. It's a long-range correlation which connects everything in our life and brings it together. And even there are correlations which are larger than our life, which connect to the purpose of our life. So all this is going on a very deep level, and I will be coming back to this soon when I show you an amazing diagram, which should give you a little bit of a background idea of how Healy works and how the Healy coil works, because I'm supposed to speak about the Healy coil today, and I am talking about the Healy coil because the Healy coil is working on a more subtle level than the Healy. I have my Healy coil always with me. It's hidden. So the Healy, that is the heart of whatever we're doing. There is a frequency generator inside, and there's a microprocessor inside, which has the algorithms to how to extract information from the quantum process, which is going on this physical noise generator, which is on the back side of the Healy, here approximately in the center, which is really the center of the Healy, in the same way as the quantum level is the center of the universe. I will show you a beautiful slide about this. So you all have seen the Healy coil already. It's not just one coil. You see it very well here. It's a very fine coil, but in the center, there is a wire going to the other side, and there's the other coil. You can just not see it. So they're connecting. It's a bifilar coil, as Nikola Tesla was already using it. And so if I connect the coil with the Healy, it becomes one, as if it always would have been one. So it's so beautifully compact. And I just started. Actually, it's already running. I stopped it, so I started again. And now my favorite program is running. Right now, it's coherence program. It's running, and I can place it wherever I like. And it's just so amazing practical that now I can apply the frequencies which are analyzed from the information field. And if I keep it close to my body, I don't need the cables. So obviously this cannot be done for our medical applications, which we have in Europe, for example, because there's and some from Europe are watching, I know. So I'm not using it with the programs which have 1 or 2 frequencies, but I'm using it for all the other programs which connect to the information field. We call them, these are the systemic programs, or we call them IMF. Information field controlled micro frequencies, or something like this. IMF, you have maybe heard it. So this is the programs where around 400 frequencies and even more are applied according to in each program according to the analysis. So that's a practical thing about the coil. But then the question is, how is it related to Healy? If I use Healy with the cables, is it the same or is it not the same? Or which one is stronger? Which one has a stronger impact on the information field? So when you have people have asked me this 3 months ago, and I could just guess from our experience, but I didn't have data. So today I want to show you the first data which we got from conducting it's called a randomized controlled observation study with 300 participants on the coil, and I will give you only a glimpse into it today because we have not evaluated all the data. It's not all the data back, so it's around 70% of the data is back. That's a good number, 70% of 300, so it's already quite solid. But before talking about this, I want to talk about something else, because you remember 2 months ago, almost all our customers and members, they got a present, and this present was a coherence program. A program which contains 214 frequencies which are designed to increase the coherence of our bioenergetic field. Coherence means how things work together, how things are interconnected, because our organism, our body, our mind, our soul consists of so many subsystems, and all the subsystems have to communicate. They have to be integrated into one whole. So the coherence is kind of a measure for how much all the different parts of what I am are integrated into one personality. And also, and that's the same, how I am integrated in my environment means there is social coherence. How I communicate with others, how I interact with my fellow human beings, and how I interact with nature. This is natural coherence. And there's corporate coherence, means the interconnectedness of different parts of a company. We have, I don't know, this Healy world now, more than 200 employees. So they need to phone with each other. They need to exchange information. So even the coherence of a company can be measured. So that's the idea of the coherence program. And in the last, you have seen in the last 2 months, we also have conducted an observation study via a survey, a so-called pre-post survey, where we ask the people before they start with the coherence applications. We ask them questions about the well-being, about the coherence, and about how much they feel burdened by concerns of their well-being. And everyone could give 3 concerns, three things which disturb his well-being. You can imagine what kind of things these are. Imagine for yourself. And people had to assess how much is the burden. And then after 2 weeks, using the coherence program, assessing again, how much is the burden now? How much is the well-being now? And it was altogether 13 questions, 5 in one questionnaire, which comes from the WHO, the World Health Organization, which is standard questionnaire for well-being, very much recognized, used all over the world. And the other is 8 questions on coherence from your life. And you know them because most of you have filled them out. Many of them have. And then it's an evaluation of your 3 main concerns. And to show you the results, and we have closed the study now. We got 4,000 complete sets of data back, which is really a big number for a study. And the data I present you now is on 3,000 because 1,000 data we have already, but we have to include. But normally between 3,000 and 4,000, there is just a small statistical difference. So we can look at the numbers now, and I ask Frank to please share it with me. I know we have some people from United States, probably not. They come tonight. They are sleeping now, but from Europe and from Asia. And to inform you now that I'm not talking about any medical applications. We're really talking about this IMF. Here it is, individualized microcurrent frequencies. IMF. So we are talking about this, and they are not medical applications. They are not intended to cure or diagnose. You know this. And they are not a part of any certification which we are having in different countries differently. So this is a happy notice because we are happy to be non-medical. Why? Because we are not talking about diseases. We want to talk about well-being. We want to talk about coherence. We want to talk about all this aspect which make us a strong participant in the world. We want to participate in our environment in a positive way. So this is the World Health Organization General Well-Being Index. It's called the Q5 because it's based on 5 questions which are internationally recognized. So here you see on the right side, you see the control group. The control group is a group among you which for 14 days didn't use any Healy program, and they didn't use the coherence program also. So they were absolutely abstinent from using Healy for 2 weeks. Just by chance it happened. So they also filled out the questionnaire. It was a smaller group because people don't like to do this. So it was just happened by chance. 114 people in the control group. So initially, their well-being was scored with 13. It's on a scale up to 35. No, up to 5 times 25. I'm sorry, the scale is 25. So that's the normal. It's average 13, but it went down quite significantly from 13 to 10. So not doing anything for your well-being is not a good idea. So the control group actually decreased in their well-being according to their own estimation. Pre-post means first questionnaire in the beginning, and after 2 weeks, second questionnaire with the same questions. And then look at the coherence group, which every day at least once used the coherence program with the Healy. The well-being initially was around 13, it increased to 15.3. So that's a solid increase within only 2 weeks using the coherence program, whereas in the control group it went down. This is statistically highly significant result, and it's quite surprising good. And how surprising good it is, I will show you with little statistics in the end. I will show you another slide. We have around 7 different evaluations, and I just picked 2 of them, not to make it too complicated. The second is application success concerns. Remember, one of the questions in the survey was people were writing down the 3 main concerns which are creating a burden on their well-being, and evaluating how strong this burden is. And then after 2 weeks, seeing how much did it improve. So the improvement here in the control group on a scale from 0 to 30 is 10. So it's under average. Again, not doing anything for your well-being normally doesn't increase it. And here we see it's an average of 10, 10.3, which is not very high on a scale from 0 to 30. Then here's the group which applied every day at least once the coherence program. Their estimation of a success of lowering the burden of these 3 main concerns is 70.2, which is 7 points higher than the control group. And the control group is even only 10. For those of you who are dealing with surveys or studies, it's an observational study based on a survey with a control group, they know this is a good result. But how good is it? There is an international way to measure it. It's called the coherence effect size measure. And this coefficient of a scientist called Cohen, who suggested it in 1988, is called D. So there is a scale. If D in a study, which is calculated from a simple formula, you divide the effect size of the effect through by the standard deviation. It's a simple formula. You don't have to bother with it. If D is smaller than 0.5, like around 0.2, it's a small effect. Effect is there, but it's small. If D is between 0.5 and 0.5 and 0.8, it's a middle large effect. This normally studies are around 0.5 to 0.8 if there's a middle large effect. If it's larger than 0.8, it's really a large effect, up to 1. But if it's larger than 1, we have to really talk about a very large effect. So the effect of the coherence study has been calculated for all the 5 different divisions. The questionnaire on well-being, before and after, the questionnaire on coherence, before and after, the questionnaire of evaluating the burden, before and after, and then in the end, a questionnaire for how do they evaluate the application success on the concerns and the application success on the coherence. Unfortunately, my picture is on the left. Yes, thank you, Frank. Very good. Now we can read it. And if you see the numbers, when I saw the numbers really, and I showed them to the professor, I talked yesterday to the Professor Harald Wallach, who is our scientific advisor from all the studies. So all the studies are advised and controlled by a professor who is specialized on this kind of studies. He was same amazed like me. Here you find coherence D. It's 1.03, 1.09. Here with the concerns, it's only 0.2. That's a small effect, but all the others and also the application success on the concerns, almost 1.2. And here the coherence application success, self-evaluation, 1.3 almost. This is really numbers which we couldn't imagine. And it's just one pre-post observation survey or study, but because it has almost, now we have evaluated 3,000 participants, it's really let's say it in this way, this is a result on which we can build very well, and we will continue the studies. So that's, for me, absolutely amazing. And when we have the final results, we will write a paper on it, and we will also get it published in the journals, so you can all follow it. Coming to the Coil, because we are already talking about statistics. From the Coil, because we are still in the process, I just want to show you one slide. We have also around 7 or 8 different slides of evaluation, but this is only after 70% of the data is evaluated. It's already a good number of 70% of around 300. And we have 3 groups. Each have, if it's complete, 100. There is a control group. They have done nothing. They didn't use the Healy at all, and they didn't use the Coil at all for 2 weeks. So they are on a scale from 0 to 35, they are on almost 16. So it's a little below average, the self-assessment. So it's something like, you can say, the situation stayed as it is, because it's in the middle of the scale. Then we had a group which used the Healy with the gold cycle programs. They could select every day 1 or 2 of these programs from gold cycle and apply it for 14 days. And you see a beautiful increase of 25.3 from 14 15.8. And here's a small black thing. This is the arrow. So the arrow is already very small. The error of the expectation value. So it's a beautiful number. So we see how Healy affects the well-being according to the self-estimation of the people. And here you see the coil. Instead of 25.3, oh, what happened? Maybe I did something.
Let me see if I can switch it off, Marcus. Go ahead.
Okay, because now, maybe I could draw on the whiteboard. No, I don't want to do this. The coil with 25.5, and this really surprised us. We didn't expect it, and we also didn't want this effect. I thought, okay, coil will be between Healy and control, because after all, you're not using cables, but it's slightly better than Healy. So it's a result. We have to accept it, and we will do more trials on it. But this is already a very good one, and we are already preparing. Professor Wallach, who was conducting this study, will prepare an article which he's intending to publish in a good journal on complementary medicine, because this result. And now look at the CoND. You know already what the CoND means. It's the effect size measure, and it's 1.31. It's the highest which we have seen until now, and it corresponds to a very large effect. But Coil and Healy, I would share the gold medal. Normally, gold would be the Coil, silver would be Healy, and control is the third. But here, I think it's 1-to-1, and the difference is within the arrows. So we cannot say one is superior, one is inferior. So that's a very good news. It's a very good news. And again, I'm not talking about the programs which are for microcurrent stimulation, having just one frequency. I'm just talking about the individualized microcurrent frequencies, which take the frequencies from the information field and apply them. This is basically 98% of our applications which have a non-medical purpose. And for this, yeah, you can use the coil as good as you can use the Healy. But then you can ask, or you might ask, then what's the difference? Still, this is just a number. It's a quantity, but maybe there's a quality difference. And I would say, yes, there's a quality difference. And for this, I would like to show you a diagram. Don't be shocked. It looks a little complex, but it's the same story which I told you in the beginning. And this is to say, this is not recognized by orthodox science or medicine, but this is the way, it's a diagram which I put together, how I understand reality, how I understand the relationship of the material to the informational realm. So here you are with your body, but actually you are not your body. So what are you? You are the consciousness which sees through the eyes of the body. You are the consciousness which listens through the ears of your body, and which smells through your nose and experiences the world. This is you. You are in the middle. You are in the center. You are you are a conscious process. You are a bioenergetic process. So from here, you can look down towards matter. And you see, oh my God, there's my body. It's still there. That's a good news. But you will still be there when your body is not there. You know this. Everyone knows this deep within himself. But then if you turn to your back, there's also something. This is the background of your consciousness. You can call it psychologically, you can call it the unconscious. And there is not just your personal, individual unconscious, but there is the whole collective unconscious of humanity, which connects us all. So in the background, we are all connected. Those of you who are from Asia, who are connected with the ancient wisdom traditions of Asia, you know this. You know this from Buddhism, you know it from Taoism, from Shintoism, you know it from Hinduism, from the Vedic knowledge. It's all there. Humanity knows it since centuries, since millennia, that there is an implicit order, there is a spiritual background of our consciousness, which nourishes our consciousness and prepares our experience, and it prepares the future already right now. So this is on the background of your consciousness, or here it's up. I call it information field. So here is the information field, and here is the material fields. The molecular body, which is permeated by electromagnetic fields. So Healy is in the center. It's based on the quantum process. It's connected to the consciousness, and it's the bioenergetic processes generating frequencies going down to the electromagnetic level, down to the electrical level. I mean the electrons moving around your cells, inside your cells, exchanging from outside to inside. It's not only electrons, it's also protons meet positive and negative charges and ions. It's a complex interplay of electrical charges and electrical fields up to photons and quantum fields. So that's going on here. But in between, there is the quantum field, which it's with its quantum process, which connect to consciousness, according to the understanding of scientists like Henry Stapp or Roger Penrose, who just received the Nobel Prize last year in physics. So great minds believe in this, and they are scientists. But behind this quantum processes activity, there is the information field, which some call the quantum vacuum, or which David Bohm, who is my favorite right now, he calls it the implicit order. And in this implicit order, there is a holo movement. It's all a movement. It's a process. It's not static. And this holo movement has one side, which is material, and the other is spiritual or consciousness-based. So this is, you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of reality. And I wrote a 60-page paper in English language about explaining these diagrams with a lot of references to all kind of research. And I'm not publishing. I'm now going to offer it to some scientific journals, and then when it's published, I will share the long version with all of you. That's a process. It's before publishing things publicly, I would like to have it printed in a journal or an online journal which is reviewed. I'm just in the process of doing this. So, but I can show you this diagram, and here on the left side, I show you, according to my understanding, where do the different versions of Healy affect reality to our model. So first of all, there's the cables. The cables reach down with the frequencies, especially the low frequencies, which are modulated on substantial microcurrent. They reach down to the material because, of course, it's electrical current, and electrical current, if it flows through your body, you can even feel it. Then it's causing the electrons to vibrate. It's causing movements on the material level. And of course, it's affecting the electromagnetic level. So this is the main area. You see the blue area is dark blue here, but it's reaching up because the high frequencies, they're reaching up to the quantum level, up to what I call the bioenergetic field, which is that part of the information field, which is related to the human body through quantum entanglement. There's the body, mind, and soul all together. They form their information fields form the individual information field, which is embedded in the global information field, which relates to the whole universe. So that's the coil, the cables. The cables, applying the Healy with the cables, mainly works on this level, but it's going up to the bioenergetic field. Then look at the coil. It's a green arrow, and it has its center here around the quantum or bioenergetic processes in the center. So it really works on a more subtle level because Healy coil creates a magnetic field. Oops, here it is. two sides of the coil are there. So they are creating a magnetic field like this. But because the two coils have an opposite direction, the magnetic fields cancel each other. So the resulting magnetic field is zero. You see it here. The blue lines are the magnetic field, but the total power of the field is zero because they cancel each other, because one goes like this and the other goes like this. But already intuitively, two magnetic fields which have a certain energy, and if they cancel each other, doesn't mean that there is nothing left. But there's something deeper left, which you see here in the center, which is the quantum potential. And the quantum potential, or the magnetic potential, here there's another drawing which was published in Physics Today. It's a quantum, it's a the magnetic potential, so-called vector potential, which acts actually on the quantum level on the phase of electrons. So it influences electrons, but from a very subtle level. Let's call it the quantum level or the level of the quantum field. And this is in the center, oops, of this diagram. But of course, the coil, because the quantum field works in both directions, it works towards the biophotons in the electromagnetic realm, but it also works up into the bioenergetic field of the body. And because the bioenergetic field of the of an organism, which connects to the mind and to the soul and to the individual information field, it is related to the quantum entanglements. And here we have the third way to use Healy. You know, with the cables, with the coil, but you can also use it on the resonance level, where you just keep the Healy close to yourself. You're not using cables, you're not using the coil, but you do a pure analysis and balancing in the information field. Nothing touching electromagnetic body, nothing touching the molecular body, not even directly dealing with the quantum fields in the center, but it's working purely in the information field. Even no frequencies are involved here. Here with the cables and the coils, we are creating physical frequencies with a frequency generator within Healy, which you can measure as the frequencies in hertz. Resonance is not doing it. No, it's not. It's working purely on noise generator, this quantum noise generator in the center, but it's working here. So in this way, you see how, like the colors of the rainbow complementing each other, and if you put them all together, you have white light. So we want the white light of Healy. We want the white light of frequencies. And for this, if we combine the application of the Healy with the application of the coil, with the application of the resonance in a meaningful way, in a systematic way, we get the white light of the Healy. We have the full spectrum. And this is what I love about it. Because we are complex, we have different levels. We have body, mind, and soul. We have consciousness and unconscious. You can't expect with one method to deal with all of them. So you can use the cables once a day, or even like Nunonina, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Normally it's enough. Then you have a day to recover, drink a lot of water, take care of yourself, especially with the lower frequencies. But then you have the coil, which works from the center, from the quantum processes, and it resonates with the more subtle fields of your body, with the quantum field. And then you work with the resonance deeply in the information field. You do make an analysis of what kind of resonances you find in your information field and how to balance them. So all together is like the blue light and the green light, the yellow light and the red, and even going to the infrared and to the ultraviolet. So you can enjoy the whole spectrum of Healy and the whole spectrum of frequencies. So I think that's enough information for today. I just was giving you a short glimpse into the result of these two observation studies, which we have done for coherence and for the coil. And remember this diagram, and I hope very soon I can publish the paper in such a way that you can all read it and get a deeper understanding of our and my understanding of how Healy works and what is behind. So thank you very much for listening. I think I have talked enough, and I give the microphone and the camera back to Frank. And I believe he has a lot of, yes, he has still some announcements and some good news for us.
Well, thank you very much, Marcus. Well, you know, I every time I see these results, I'm so excited. You know, it's always and for the people, you know, a lot of questions we were always getting was how is it with the coil and versus the microcurrent? You know, is it a different result? Or because people, you know, through microcurrent they feel the frequencies, they can feel it. And the Healy coil is different because you will not. I'm having my coil on here too, and by the coil you don't feel that. So
yeah, that's really an important point, because especially to new people, and we as members of Healy World, we love to share our Healy with new people. So always start, never start with a coil. Please don't start with a coil. Always start giving the electrodes to the people, or people put them themselves. It's even a better experience if they do it themselves, and let them start the Healy and go slowly up with the intensity. And with our new wonderful wrist electrodes and the way to scale up the intensity according to the sensitivity of your skin, you can really make everyone feel the frequencies. And that's so important. It's so important because we are a sensual being. We need to experience the world, not just with our intuition, not just with our thoughts and with our feelings, but we have to touch it. And this is the sense of touch, which is one of the most important, most concrete. You know, we need to touch and feel our environment, and that's so important. Let the people feel the frequencies, and that's convincing. But as we have seen with the coherence program and also with the coil, that it's not necessary. The effects are also there if you don't feel it. Some people are very sensitive; they can feel the coil's influence, but it's not necessary. And we are not replacing the microcurrent, because microcurrent is working on really on also on the physical level. Everyone knows it. So it's really a wonderful complement.
No, and that's exactly the point. You know, once you have this experience from the cables and that feeling of the frequencies, and you then use the coil, and it's a very different situation. And I know that a lot of people, especially when the level of microcurrent was a little lower, were saying, I don't feel the frequencies anymore. And this is exactly what Marcus said. In the Heal Advisor app, you can set your intensity as you want. If you're sensitive or not, or if you have elephant skin like me and you need it a little stronger, there is all these possibilities for you. Probably also you need it a little stronger, there is all these possibilities for you. Probably also another hint, as long as we have you, Marcus, here, it's also very important, because I know a lot of people will ask us today, are you going to publish? Are you sharing these information in newsletters and everything with us, all these studies result and also forth? But maybe you can explain a little bit how important it is also to publish results like this, to be able to use it.
Yes, that's very important. And we want to go the right way. The right way is to conduct the studies really in a very systematic way. So before we do a study, we make a study design, and it's not like lay people. It's not even me who does it, you know, because I'm not an expert on clinical studies. We have two experts, Dr. Peter Marman and Stephanie Reddick in our company, which have done in their professional career for 20 years nothing else than doing clinical studies for pharmaceutical companies and so on. And they have a very high level of professional experience, and they have studied it. So they are our people who design. And if you do a study, you have to make the whole design beforehand. And before you start anything, it's important to even write down the statistics, how you will, how you will analyze the results. So the statistics are fixed before, not that in the end you choose the statistics which fit the well. No, everything is laid down before, and to open all your data and so on, and then get it published, because only to open all your data and so on, and then get it published, because only if it's published, it's recognized by the scientific community. For our marketing, it would be absolutely enough to have it, have it ourselves. But it's not that we just want to, invest into marketing. That's important for you members, so you have tools. But we want to really contribute to the scientific development on this planet, so that frequency applications and frequencies and information field is more and more recognized. So therefore, we're going the traditional way. It's slow way, but it's very important, because then the results are peer reviewed by independent scientists and discussed and published, and others can quote from it. I have just concluded 2 papers on David Bohm's implicit order and how it relates to the information field. And the first one was published in February in a peer-reviewed paper. And the second one I have, I have sent for peer review. It's not published yet, so I'm publishing myself. In the same way, it's important for peer review. It's not published yet, so I'm publishing myself. In the same way, it's important to get our studies published scientifically, and therefore we asked you for a little more patience before we are sharing the complete results with all of you.
Well, thank you very much, Marcus. I can only say I'm very happy with my coil, because I feel much more free without the cables, and knowing that it works the same way. I have the same effects that I have with my Healy, so I'm actually very happy. And this is also the box, how it looks like, where it comes in. And for all of those who want to know a little bit more about how to earn free Healy coil, stay tuned. And thank you very much, Marcus, for sharing these amazing news with us, these great results. It's just amazing, and we're looking forward to see all the publications in the future.
Okay, thank you, Frank, so much. And I will go to take a bath in the lake now. No, this was a joke. Maybe in 2 weeks. Okay. Have a nice day still.
Bye. Marcus Mieke, our founder and visionary behind the